Hello, hello, hello. However you're watching, wherever you're watching, however you listen, wherever you listen, it's the Bet Online Salute Detroit podcast, and we are live. The only reason why we're live, we got breaking news today. Top edge rusher Isaiah Gibson has decided to back out after a trip to Auburn, and he's decided to open up his recruiting. He's opening up his recruiting, said he wants to take more looks and see where it goes. There's two things that come from this. I mentioned it on the last show, Ryan. I said you do not let your kids go on different trips if you are recruiting, because if you have more fun somewhere else, they're going to commit. It might not be the better place. It might not be the best place for them, but it's what have you done for me lately? And lately was Auburn for Isaiah, and Isaiah has decided to call Lincoln Riley, decided to call and say, I'm going to open my commitment back up. I will say this, with this last trip being to Auburn, and this is just opinion, I don't think they're very high in the NIL game. He is, mistake me if I'm wrong, he's a Georgia kid, correct?
Correct.
So Auburn is 2 hours from Georgia. About 2 hours. So maybe he's from Atlanta. If he's from the 11 area, you're looking at maybe 4 hours. So his family can't see him. But I will say two things happen here. Scared of competition because there's two defensive ends and Hayden Lowe just committed. Or he had a hell of a time last weekend. He's like, maybe Auburn is the place for me. So he backed out. He's opening up his recruiting. And I'm just going to say here, and I was told I was being scared by saying, don't let kids do this and that. At the end of the day, 99% of the time, I'm right all the time. So you do not let your kids go on other visits if they're committed, especially if it's a commitment, especially if it's school that's 4 hours away. So he's backed off. Is it a panic? I don't think it's a panic. We have two defensive ends. We got Gus Cordova, 6'5", 250, good-sized kid, 3-star commit. Maybe he might be a diamond in the rough. And then Hayden Lowe just recruited last weekend. So it's kind of weary that all of a sudden Hayden Lowe commits and then this Isaiah kid decides not to come to USC. To me, on the face of it, it looks like scared of commitment. But it could also be I want to stay home type of thing, a 4-hour commute. What do you think, Ryan?
Well, first of all, what's up? I mean, first time live and basically since the season. So
in a long time.
So
what up, Jay? What up, Jay?
What up, everyone in here? Thanks for coming, hanging out. This was an impromptu, not planned. So no promotion. So appreciate everyone jumping in here to hang out. Coach, hope you're well. Yeah, fun
I am well.
Show. Good. Another hot one out here. So, but yeah, I mean, it's been trending like this. It's unfortunate, right? Like, after On3 had their big, whatever they call it, their big summit, elite summit out in Nashville a few weeks ago. It started the chatter there and within the On3 experts that obviously they put on. So they're talking all these, that the chatter was that, Gibson was going to flip and potentially either Georgia, or obviously you just mentioned he had his Auburn trip. And we all knew, like, if we're being, and I know I'm the optimist here. I know I'm the glass half full, everyone calls me here on this show, but we all knew if we were being honest with ourselves, when both Justus Terry and Isaiah Gibson committed right after their visit in March, that was a shocker. I don't think anyone expected either of those two guys, let alone both, to commit to SC, especially right then, considering where they're from in Georgia, their ties to University of Georgia, or just the SEC in general. So it's not shocking that this happened. It's a bummer because it's now been months. We have this like potentially top-rated recruiting class. So it does seem like a sting in that regard. But I think just based on everything we knew about what was going into this ahead of time, it's not a huge deal. And then, like you said, two edge players already committed. Gus Cordova, who I want to talk about here in a little bit, I think is really underrated. I've been watching more tape on this guy, coming out of Texas. Amazing bull rush, obviously a different size and frame than maybe Isaiah Gibson, but seeing maybe what Coach Henne can do and Coach Nua can do with him, I think he's going to surprise a lot of people. And then obviously Hayden Lowe, who just committed last week, California kid. So obviously a bummer when a 5-star number 1 edge rated recruit decommits from your program. So, I mean, I'm not saying it lightly. I'm not saying it's not a big deal at all, but I don't think it's doom and gloom because of the guy's already committed, and B, huge recruiting weekend last weekend. There's still potentially commits coming from that. Huge recruiting weekend again this weekend that they could potentially get recruits from. So, one guy does not make your recruiting class overall over the course of program building. I mean, just ask SC from 3 years ago when Corey Foreman committed to SC as the number one prospect in the nation. And unfortunately, we know how that panned out. So a different scenario, obviously, I know. But yeah, bummer, but not the end of the world, I don't think.
I will say this, and it's not the end of the world. And here's the difference between when I played and what's happening now. There's a lot more media coverage and recruiting. Kids flipping is not a new thing. You know what I mean? So now everybody's like, oh, it's a panic. It's not a panic. That's the reason why you recruit more than one kid at that position. Hayden Lowe is a 4-star athlete, right? Gus Cordova, like USC Jay said, he's the second most recruited kid in the country. Like, we had 3 edge rushers that were probably the top in the nation coming to USC. Now we have 2 that's top of the nation coming to SC. Am I going to put a panic on for a freshman that decided to decommit? No, we haven't even seen him play college football yet. I think that too many people get caught up in the hype of the stars. The stars don't mean anything because they have yet to play it down, right? Belichick said it great. I mostly look at 3-star guys that's coming out of high school to play on my team. Their best player probably in the history of their program was probably a 1-star guy. Now, I will say he's about 3 or 4 because he did go to Michigan on scholarship. I want to say that. He did go to Michigan on scholarship. But he didn't play at Michigan, right? He was the 7th round pick. He was not that good. And he ends up being one of the best pro quarterbacks in the NFL. There's a lot of things. Same thing with Pat Mahomes. Pat Mahomes was not a 5-star athlete. Pat Mahomes went to Texas Tech. Pat Mahomes is going to end up being the greatest quarterback in the NFL. The cornerback who caught the pick in the Super Bowl went to a Division II school. Tyler Lockett went to Kansas State. People get so caught up in what the media does with these stars and everything. Rivals is probably the worst thing that happened to the fan for college football, because they get so caught up in, oh, he's a 5-star, so we're good. You don't look at that. Let's look at how big is he, how big is his parents, and how explosive is he. That's the upside you're looking at. I could go get a 6'5" kid that's 250 pounds. His dad may be 6'7", his grandpa may be 6'7", his mom might be 6'1". That kid has a ton of upside. Next thing you know, he's great. You get what I'm saying? Lofa wasn't a stellar athlete coming out of high school. He went to the University of Maine. Guess what? Lofa just stars win championships. Look at UGA, Alabama. Well, UGA, Alabama was an NIL 10 years ago. So let's be realistic about what's happening. So if you guys really think stars matter, then how many? If the SEC is such the best conference, only 2 schools get 5-star athletes. So that means the rest of the conference don't matter because they get the 3-star athletes and the leftovers. Like, if we're being realistic about it, like, we're talking about legit recruiting. I don't care what a star looks like. Like you said, Corey Freeman was a 5-star athlete. Where's Corey Freeman? How great was he? Right? Like, it's a realistic thing. The problem is that we're doing the same thing that Clemson did, Alabama did. Where did Bryce Young go to high school? Mater Dei, California. Pulled him all the way to Tuscaloosa, and they paid for him to go there, right? Clemson, DJ Ukulele, California, went all the way to Clemson. Now we're doing it, and SC fans have a problem with it. It's no longer a regional recruiting game. It's a national recruiting game. And they're going to go get the best players wherever they are. And no matter how much it costs, you have to pay to win. Alabama and Georgia and the whole SEC has been paying to win for the past 20 years. Now everybody could pay to win. And it's an issue when we lose a recruit. This isn't the first recruit we're going to lose. This isn't the last recruit we're going to lose. It's not a panic. It's not a 911. We got 2 6'5" guys coming in at the same position. I don't care what you say. I don't care if he goes to Georgia, Auburn, wherever he goes. It's a competition thing to me. And that's how I see it on the face. You got 2 guys who are just as good as you, but then you decide to flip your recruit. I mean, where I'm from, 1 + 1 still equals 2. Go ahead, Ryan. I'm sorry. That comment threw me off, and now I'm venting.
No, I mean, well, and I think, I don't know exactly what you're meaning, but this is what I'm hearing you say, that maybe some people listening might not be hearing the same thing. Stars do matter. At least I think that stars matter. Like you can't just be a top tier program and only recruit 2 and 3 stars. We look at Utah, right? Utah only is able to get 2 and 3 stars. They develop the hell out of them. Kyle Whittingham might be one of the best coaches in the country, but they just can't quite get to that next level. They're always good. They're always competitive, but when push comes to shove against the elite of the elites, they can't quite get over that just because they don't quite have that talent. So stars do matter to an extent. However, it also matters so much more than just that star rating. Look at a guy like DTR, Dorian Thompson-Robinson. I know we don't like talking about UCLA on this show, but he was a 5-star quarterback, had only played 1 year, not even 1 year of high school ball at Bishop Gorman out in Vegas because he was backing up Marvell Tell or whatever, went to Miami. So he comes into UCLA as this highly touted 5-star prospect, hadn't played quarterback, had to be completely trained and taught, and he wasn't really effective until his 3rd and 4th seasons. And I'm not saying that's what his Isaiah Gibson is, but that's, I think, what you're alluding to, in that the stars don't fully matter. There's a lot more that goes into it. Go ahead.
I'm gonna cut you off real quick. I just went back to 2022, 2 years ago. Guess who the number 1 recruiting class was in 2022? Yes, just throw a name out there. According
LSU?
to nope. Texas A&M had 8 5-star athletes. How good is Texas A&M? 24 stars. Alabama, 3 5-star athletes in that recruiting class, had 21 4-star athletes and 1 3-star athlete. Georgia only had 5 and 17. 5-star athletes aren't going to turn your program. If here's the proof in the pudding right now. It's out. Texas A&M had 30 commits, and Texas A&M can't win the lotto if I gave them the numbers. You know what I'm saying? Like I mean, there's legit. I've heard Nick Saban say this. I'll take a 3-star athlete any day. That I don't know if it was Derrick Henry, but one of the running backs wasn't even getting recruited by Alabama until he went to the practice and saw him, and then he started recruiting them, and then he ended up winning the Heisman. So I mean, like the star thing is a little bit overrated. Like everybody says, oh, stars do matter. I think we put too much emphasis on the stars. And this is compared to 24/7. So Texas A&M is a very average football program. Always been number 1 recruiting class in 2022. I'll look up 2023 because people are going to go look up 2023 before me. And I guarantee you it's not a bunch of 5-star athletes on that 2023 team. I get what you're saying. There is talent. There's things that do happen. I get that. You do need talent. But college football is not like pros. College football is you have the opportunity you get 5 years to play 4. That's a chance for you to develop people and make people good in your program, right? So saying that I just need a 5-star guy that's fully developed, there's no reason for me to coach. Just throw the ball out there and play. There's a lot more that go. I'm looking at it from the other side of the desk. I'm looking at it. Who can we develop? What's its upside? And who can we make good? Right? And there's a lot of people, scientific. You can look this up anywhere in the world. There's a lot of people who peak in high school, which makes them a 5-star athlete. And then when they get to college, I'm not saying all, but there's a lot. When they get to college, they're no longer any good because they peaked in high school. There's a lot of people who peak in college, and when they get to the NFL, they're no longer any good. That's an actual fact. So if I get a kid who has not peaked yet, and all of a sudden he's a rising star, that's how you end up with an NFL star, because their peak may be in the NFL. Their peak may be in college. Me personally will not take a kid that's going to automatically just peak and assume that he's going to be better than everybody, because it doesn't work like that. I wish I had the numbers to like legit show like the legit percentages. Like I have a friend named Ryan who's like, he had one time half the percentages, and he was not very high on 5-star athletes either, because it's all about the development. I'm talking more the development side. Like 5-star, more than likely, I won't throw an outrageous percentage, but I'll go 60% peaked in high school. And when they get to college, they're either the same level or they don't get any better. That's where I'm just talking more of the developmental stage. You know, does that make sense, Ryan?
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously extremely important. That's why even past classes under Clay Helton that were highly rated didn't do well, because they didn't get developed. Real quick, I just got to at least comment on it. So Breton, first of all, super appreciative of the engagement. I mean, even if we don't agree, love it, but we never we're cheering or pulling for Grinch on this show. So you must be thinking of someone else. That was definitely not us. We've been calling Grinch out since the first year they were here. So that definitely wasn't this show where we were doing that. So I just wanted to address that. But development's the huge key here. And I want to be clear, like, because we try to always keep it real in the show and keep it straight. Like, I know you're not trying to say this, but I'm for sure not saying that losing Isaiah Gibson is all fine and dandy and no big deal. It's a big deal. I'm just saying it's not like, okay, season's lost. The class. I mean, this is still the 7th ranked class, even without Isaiah Gibson. 7th. We didn't drop to like 30. 7th ranked class. Now, if Justin Terry decommits as well, then it's kind of back to the drawing board. You got to find that DL. But like I said, huge recruiting weekend last weekend, huge recruiting weekend this weekend. You have December is when signing day is. Other kids are going to flip again, right? There's kids that are committed now that might flip to SC. So I'm just trying to put a little bit of a positive spin on it that it's June, 16th? What day are we on? 18th. Got a long time for this 2025 class to really round out. And that means things can change negatively. Also means things can change positively. And what comes down to it, I saw someone else comment up in the beginning of, Coach Henny's been proclaimed the savior and he's overrated. I'm paraphrasing, but I saw something like that. And, that's something I completely disagree with, because we know, regardless of what the class, and this is what you're saying, Coach, regardless of how many 5-stars are in this recruiting class, we know Coach Henny can develop. We know, like, that's a fact, right? That is a fact. He's taken 4th, 5th, 6th rounders in the NFL and made them starters and Pro Bowlers. And so a guy like Gus Cardova, who's a 3-star rating, you put on his film, the strength, the bull rush, all the stuff that he's able to do, seeing him with Coach Henny, this might be a guy that everyone's like, how is this guy not a 5-star? And that's what you're saying, where the stars are a bit inflated because we don't know what they are until they're in the program. They're getting developed with these coaches. They're playing with their teammates. Now, that doesn't mean you don't go after 5 stars, and being a program like SC can just be 3-star recruits. I get that. I'm not saying that, but the onus on it and the conversation around how many stars are next to a kid's name are overblown in that regard, because if you have coaches that can develop and build, that's what truly matters. And then the last thing I'll say is I haven't talked to people I know yet in the building. I have no idea if this came down to money or whatnot. So I'm not saying that. I don't have facts on that, but we know even with USC's improved NIL, like, there's only so much money to go around. And so if Isaiah Gibson was on the fence, which it's no secret that he was, as a coaching staff, you say, all right, do we want to commit 5 stars, probably over $1 million, right? All 5 stars out there getting over $1 million in NIL. Do we want to commit to a guy $1 million that may get him to stay his freshman year, but if everything doesn't go exactly his way, he's in the portal next year?
Yep.
Or do we take that money and go to a kid that is just dying to be a USC Trojan? Maybe he's a 4-star, not a 5, but we know he's Miller Moss. He's here to stay.
Right.
I'm just putting that out in the universe.
I agree with you on that. Like, and that's like one of the factors that goes into it. And I'm going to disagree with you on the fact that it is okay that the kid flipped. Like, it's not the end of the world. It's not going to stop the program. At the end of the day, that means he's never wanted to be there anyway, and he would have been gone in December. So now we committed $1 million to this kid.
Oh, I agree.
He's a cancer in the locker room, and then he shakes on you in December. But we all want him in our program, and we're asking, well, it's Lincoln Riley's fault. Well, you guys wanted him. He's here. He caused problems, and he's probably one of the factors why you're not winning. And I'm not saying Isaiah Gibbs is that type of kid, but those are the things that you have to look at. He's never happy. Then he spreads his cancer in the locker room. That's the type of things that you have to look at as a coach. Like, man, this kid does not say anything positive. Everything is always negative. Why is he never happy? Oh, we put $1 million up on him. Man, he's not performing. Is it because he's not happy? That sucks. Then all of a sudden, December comes, he's in the portal. We just wasted $1 million. Now, but he was a 5-star athlete. You get what I'm saying? Like, when people want to be at your school, and when you're recruiting them that they really want to be there. You get caught in between parents wanting you to go there and you wanting to be there. You get what I'm saying? And this could happen a lot with SC. And it's not even, let's take the football out of it. it might just come down to just pure academics. You get what I'm saying? Like this is such a great school. Like this is such a great place for you to go. They really care about your academics. It's really competitive. You look at what it takes to get into the school and everything it takes and how competitive the school is, and you see the diversity. And when I tell you the diversity, you see the diversity as Middle Eastern, Asian, like different stuff that I went to poly, so we were already diverse, but it's maybe times 2 when you go to college. Like you see so many different things, and like this is a great school for you. You need to go here. You need to go here. You get the parent pressure, but then like at the end of the day, it's always the kid's decision. So if you're like, yeah, I want to go here because my mom wants me to go to, how happy is that kid really at that school? You get what I'm saying? How well does he perform compared to when he goes somewhere he wants to go and he could play how he wants to play and do what he wants to do, and he's completely happy? You get a whole different player. So there's a lot of things that go in the factor. Like that's why it goes back to my point. I went off on tangent, I'm sorry, but that goes back to my point. It's not the end of the world. We're doing the same thing. We've had 2 visits 2 weeks in a row, and kids already committed to schools, and they're they're at USC, right? Like we're trying to flip kids too. I don't believe in the kid flipping business. I never did. I think that's slightly unethical. When I coach, if a kid said he was committed, I say, all right, if you decide to change your mind, give me a call. I'm not in the kid flipping business. Like I said, it's a little unethical to me, but that's neither here nor there. But the show's going to go on. If we stop and cry over this, how are we going to accomplish anything recruiting? Like you said, we got another visit this weekend. We got another visit next weekend. And we have one of the top recruiters committed to USC, right? So I could easily make a call. Hey, Juju, hey, Isaiah Gibbs just bounced on us. He decommitted. Give him a call. Let me know what's going on with him. You know what I'm saying? Like, and come back to us, report to us, talk to him a little bit. Let's see if you could get him back. But now you always have that thought in the back of your mind. Well, he decommitted and came back. So junior year, if he's not playing that well, he was a kid that decommitted and came back because people flip now. There's fans, and fans flip on you really, really quick. So now he's the kid that decommitted and came back, and he really wasn't that good. Like that happens a lot too. So there's a lot to go into it. The show can't stop. We got to keep moving forward. We're going to lose players. We all say that this is a game that's changing, right? We're going to lose players. We're going to lose players in December. We're going to lose players at the end of spring, and we're going to lose players in recruiting. This is the game that we're playing. People are now getting an inside to the game that we're playing because of the overloaded media coverage. You don't think Nick Saban lost commits? Nick Saban's probably lost a bunch of commits. Everybody, you don't think Pete lost commits? I was there when Pete lost 5-star athletes, quote unquote, and he was supposed to be the best guy coming in, but he decided to go somewhere else. Everybody forgets Adrian Peterson was supposed to go to USC also. He was out on his visit at USC and really wanted to go to USC, almost committed, and told him, yeah, I really want to come here. Guess what? Adrian Peterson flipped. This isn't new, but the show has to go on. So it's not a big deal. We just have to keep moving forward. We can't cry over spilled milk. Clean it up, and let's keep going forward.
Yeah. I mean, it's a big deal if you don't keep adding other players, right? Then it's a big deal. Like if a guy decommits, then you're like, oh, well, we're good, huh?
We have time, and we have two.
Oh yeah,
we have two.
I'm with you. I agree.
Like Lincoln Riley is doing everything that he has not been doing in the past. He's building depth on defense. He's never built depth on defense, right? We have 2 edge rushers in the class. Normally, this is loaded with receivers. We only have 1 receiver commit. We actually have 2 running back commits, which is strange. We got a bunch of DB commits. We got the athlete commit. Like, he's building depth on defense. He saw a problem, and he's fixing the problem, right? Are we going to get every single kid that we recruit? Absolutely, not at all. Are we going to lose kids who committed? Absolutely. But the question is how you develop the kid, how well does the kid play, and what do we do to put those kids in the best situation possible to win a football game? That's what we have to do. Other than that, it's okay. We're all right. We're building depth. Lincoln Riley has never built depth like this on defense, and he's building depth. People want it to happen overnight. It's not McDonald's. You can't pull up to a window, ask for a Big Mac, circle a corner, and it's right there in your hand. This is a process, right? And Jamal was right about this, and we got caught by this facade of this great year when they went 10-2 after they went 5-6 or whatever. Now, reality 4-8. I'm sorry. Now reality set in, and it showed what we really were depth wise, how we really were recruiting wise, how we really were developmental wise, and we go 8-5. And the only reason why we go 8-5 is because we had a Heisman winning quarterback. Now you want to see the true test? Put a one-time starter in with a bunch of guys that aren't your recruits and a couple of transfer portal guys, and let's see what really happens here. Now, I think we are going to be better than what we are because those freshman offensive linemen and well, now sophomores and those other people are good, but that's a different topic for a later date. But we're seeing what the depth was with who was that cockroach that just Clay Helton. We're seeing what the depth was with Clay Helton, right? And Lincoln Riley is actually doing a decent job. The only mistake he made was not being competitive with Caleb Williams and not firing Alex Grinch at the end of his first season when they lost to Tulane.
Yeah. That set them back a year, basically.
Yes.
So, that's the other factor in this, right? Like we don't even know what this defense will look like. So, that's what we need to really see how these guys fit and whatnot. And, how you do that is obviously you get top tier talent that can play all over the field. But that's what we need to start seeing. And, there's still plenty of time in this recruiting trail. So let's see if they, there's been a lot of chatter that some of the guys last weekend that are committed already, guys committed to Auburn, guys committed to Texas, that they're now all of a sudden tempting to flip to USC. So, we're going to get probably some of those cats as well. Just like we just lost one who hasn't technically, just throwing this out there, technically Gibson could commit back. He didn't commit anywhere else. So you never know. Never say never. He could always decide after keeping his recruiting open to come back. But, I found something. This is off that topic a little bit based on the coaching stuff. I didn't know this in all the conversations I've had in research, but Lincoln Riley was on ESPN LA yesterday, and he said that Doug Belk, our secondary coach, had Power 5 and NFL offers and turned them all down to come coach secondary at SC. That was kind of cool.
That is. That means there's something cooking here, right? And we're SC's a football school, and the expectation for football is what it is, right? So we have to be reasonable, and we have to understand what is going to happen. But this is also, and I'm going to revert back to this, and nobody ever wants to talk about this, or nobody ever wants to admit this. It took SMU 30 plus years to become a competitive football team after their probation, right? They were dead in the water. That was the toughest hand down by the NCAA that ever happened in the history of the NCAA. The second toughest one is what happened to USC with the Reggie Bush thing. And the way we recovered was way better, but we were dead in the water also. If we weren't dead in the water, we were definitely on life support. Now, if it took SMU 30 plus years, it's going to take us longer to be at the elite level. Right now, we're a good football team and above average, but to be at the elite level, it's going to take us a little bit longer.
Yeah, sorry.
I'm sorry, you were on mute. Yeah, you had a little visitor. I'm surprised you don't hear my office mate in the background screaming.
I've heard a couple times.
Bluey's not keeping him entertained.
Well, they're hit or miss, right? So
yeah,
mine's on Peppa Pig, I think, right now. So
there you go.
But yeah, that's a good point. It takes time, and we'll see. I know I saw. I'll just put this up here from Brenton. Expectations were to go to the playoffs the last 2 years. Then Riley changed the narrative. Yeah, I get that, and that's been something we've talked about a bunch of kind of how there was all the hype after year one, and then kind of Lincoln Riley in year two was like, well, I think those were a little unfair expectations. We knew it was going to take time rebuilding, blah, 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 blah. To me, all of it is coach speak anyway. Like even the first year is coach speak. Like, what are you going to say? Oh, we went 11-2, but we're not that good. Like these guys didn't work hard. Like, come on, you can't come out and say that. You say, yeah, we knew we were going to build some. So I don't put me personally, I don't put a lot in that. I know a lot of people do, which is fine. I care about what's happening right here and now and in this moment. And since that season ended, or should I say since December 1st, before the Holiday Bowl, when they hired Danton Lynn, we've seen nothing but growth and positive trajectory. This is kind of the first, I think, truly, if we're really being honest, yeah, a lot of the transfers may seem like, Damani Jackson, all these guys, but if we're truly being honest, this is probably the first real negative since December. And I think you take that as a win, right? 6 months of positives, and we haven't played a down of football. Like
if this is a negative, then our season's looking very, very good, because I don't just consider this a negative. I just consider it's a part of the game, right? Yeah. Like, at the end of the day, it's a part of the game, and it happens more often than you think. There's a lot of no's that happen. There's a lot of flips, and there's a lot of people who change their mind. In fact, the saying goes, the undefeated recruiter, the person nobody can out-recruit in the history of football, no matter who you are, is that kid's girlfriend. If he has a girlfriend going to a school, she's going to win 100% of the time. You know what I mean? Like, and I've lost to girlfriends multiple times. So the girlfriend always wins, right? And it just is what it is. I will say this: Lincoln Riley should have said after that Tulane game, my defense coordinator sucks, but I'm going to keep him because he's my best friend, and we know that. And it'll be interesting because he comes down in Wisconsin, so that's going to be a very interesting game coming to the Coliseum. And we're gonna put 800 up on him, and they're like, "See, that's why you got fired, bro." Like, I don't understand how Wisconsin hires a dude like that.
I hope on the first play of the game against Wisconsin, they run a wheel route with Woody Marks out of the backfield, like Utah did with Simone Vaki against us, and just see if Wisconsin puts an edge covering him and just take it to the house. Let's do that for the first play of the game.
We're going to run outside zone so much because there won't be an edge on the defense. It's going to be ridiculous. But I will say this: losing Damani Jones, we got two better, right?
Damani Jackson.
Damani
Jones is like the Hall of Famer. You're giving him a lot of great Hall of Famer, Damani Jones.
Losing Damani Jackson, and we end up getting UCLA's top two defensive backs, right? And they're both on watch lists. So, I mean, like, it's all positive. It's a part of the game, especially with this new game with NIL and recruiting portal. It's a part of the game. We have to learn how to take the losses with the wins. And there's going to be losses. The question is, how do we minimize the losses and have more wins? That's the question we have to figure out. So this is what we're considering this our second loss of the year. The guy who completely just played us, the offensive lineman, he came, collected his money, and then he went back to Florida. Like that guy, that was a loss. Yeah, that was a loss. And then Isaiah Gibbs was a loss, but it's not technically a loss because that's recruiting, and he hasn't stepped on campus yet, and no check was written. So do you call that a loss, or you just call that like lessons learned? Let's figure out how can we get better so we can minimize our losses and get more wins. So with that being said, calm down, people. No need to panic. We're okay. We still have two edge rushers that are very good. We're still recruiting. I believe we had an edge rusher who came in last weekend also, right? Mm-hmm. So we're okay. It's okay. As long as we keep recruiting, like you said, Ryan, keep moving forward, we're good. We're going to be all right. The problem is we need to go back how it was the old days when y'all didn't know what was really going on, and so people don't panic, right? Yeah. So
too much information now, which is way too much information, which is what keeps us in business. So I'm not complaining.
No, 100%.
We obviously purvey a lot of that information out, but all right. Last thing on edge, and then I got a question for you on the positive on the offensive line real quick. We can kind of wrap up with that. So I'm sure everyone knows this by now, but Gus Cardova shut his recruiting down. So, I mean, unless something changes dramatically, he's fully in. And Hayden Lowe, as we talked about last show, was scheduled to visit Oregon last weekend, canceled that visit to come to SC and committed. So he seems all in too. So at least with the two guys that are currently committed, it seems like there's no even chance of them flipping. I'm not going to say never, knock on wood, but those guys seem fully in. So it looks like we got two very good edge guys confirmed for 25, and I'm sure they'll still try to add one more, obviously, with this loss to Gibson. So, all right, offensive line question. And I know you haven't been high on this guy, but I thought this was interesting. So yesterday on our Rams show, any Rams fans out there?
Don't mention Dedich. Don't mention Dedich on this show.
No. Current SC. On our Rams show yesterday. So check it out. Rams LAFB is the YouTube, or just LAFBnetwork.com. We had Max Chadwick, who's a college football analyst for Pro Football Focus, and his most underrated returning offensive lineman in the country is Jonah Monheim. And I know you haven't been high on Monheim, but since moving to center the diversity of where he's played every position in the offensive line, his size at center for the Big Ten, I think a lot of fans should be actually really excited about the prospect of Jonah Monheim this year at center. Maybe if he was still, left tackle or right tackle, there'd be a little more uneasiness. But having that experience, but now taking that size and agility to play center, because he's quite a bit bigger than Justin Dedich, quite a bit. And now he's the center. I mean, I think there's a lot to be excited about.
I'm from Missouri on that one. Show me. I'll leave the jury out. I'll let the jury stay on that one. I'm not going to comment.
I hope the whole team at this point. Show me.
Yeah. So here's the good thing. I will say this. You want to end on a positive? Let's end on a positive. Here's the good thing about this. And you said there's been a lot of positive. That's another great move by Lincoln Riley. And let me tell you why. He's experienced, he's smart, and he understands the offense because this will be the third year in the system, right? Mm-hmm. So with that being said, like Justin Dedich at center, the center is the commander of the offensive line. He's the one that's IDing the mic. He's the one that's telling who to block who. He's telling people where to slide. That's the best person to put there. And that may be the best spot for him because you could get protection from the guards, right? So he doesn't have to have a lot of solo blocks. He could chip and go up because he's athletic enough because he played tackle. So he could also get the chip or he could get the pin and pull and get up to the second level. So that might be a good spot for him, and that might put him in the NFL, get him drafted about the third round.
Well, hey, he's 6'5", 300. I mean,
that's a pretty big center. That's bigger than all centers.
Yeah, he played tackle, so I mean that's a big center, 6'5", 300. So, I agree. You got to see it, but the guy's been a proven starter and now moves to a position that he's going to play at the next level. And so we'll see how it develops. And you got Elijah Page, a lot of excitement at tackle. So
I'm very high on the youngsters on the offensive line. Like all those sophomores that are going to start, but Elijah Page is the older kid, right, from Wyoming.
No, that's Pregnon. Page is the freshman or now sophomore.
Sophomore. Oh, so Pregnon is. So we have two returners, right, and then we have two guys that. The three sophomores.
So Mason Murphy at right tackle returning, Pregnon returning at guard, Monheim returning but moving to center, and then we'll probably Alani Noah is my guess.
I love him.
Huge dude at the guard, and then Elijah Page at tackle.
I love him. I love that. I think the offensive line would be really good. But watch this. Watch Monheim roll one back to Miller Moss's feet, and I'm be like, we need to get rid of this guy. Get him away from center.
Oh, that live Sunday show, you'll be like, it'll be a full-on center beatdown.
I told you to get it. And then all the comments was like, wait, I thought it was a good idea. Watch
you were the Grinch supporter. I knew it.
So I was never a Grinch supporter. I was trying to get Grinch out of there week 2 of the 2023 season. So I was never a Grinch. I just saw
every single game.
I just saw that USC
doesn't set the edge. No edge.
I just saw that USC Jay was a Grinch supporter. We got to talk about that, Jay, if you're still watching. We definitely have to talk about that one, Jay. I don't know about that, man.
Jay's just a nice guy. That's what it comes down to. He's just a nice guy.
What was your last question? You said you had one more thing to end it on, and we can get out of here.
No, I think it was just the center thing about Monheim. So I'm good.
Good deal.
This is fun. It's fun.
We got a lot of listeners. Hey, by the way, we've been trying to get Ryan to do one live a week, and he's like, I don't know. 145 is pretty good. You did say I don't know. I'm putting you on blast. You and Frosty are just tripping. That's why you guys are such good friends.
When did I say I don't know? I'm the one that I'm all in. I'm in.
Maybe we should start doing this once a week. Yeah. Everybody could just bash on me because somebody, what does it say? This one right here. He ain't coming back if coach keeps saying things like he's scared of competition. Hey, man, there's 2 defensive ends, and he decided to change his recruiting. I mean, I'm just connecting dots. Just like they teach you in kindergarten. I'm just connecting dots. So prove me wrong. You know what I mean? So definitely. I appreciate you guys, man. Brenton, it's been great. I appreciate you for commenting. Kelsey was commenting like crazy. USCJ, what up? J1991, what up? I appreciate it. Raider Trojan. Good to see you, man. I appreciate all you guys that's watching right now, all 146 of you guys. Go tell your friends. We need to start doing this every week, Ryan. I think we need to get a live going every week.
I'm in.
We'll figure something
every
out
Monday
to talk
or Tuesday.
About. Yeah,
we'll do our radio show. We'll do recorded on like Thursday, like we do, because it's just easier with editing. But Monday or Tuesday, we can go live every week.
Yeah, whatever definitely.
Whatever. All right, you're the boss.
I'm not the boss. You're the boss.
You're the boss of the show.
I'm just here. I appreciate you guys, man. Thank you guys for joining in. We'll see you guys next time. We'll do this again Thursday. Ryan, it's been so fun. How about we do it again Thursday?
Sounds great. See you then, brother.
Thank you. Hey, thank you guys, Thank you guys for tuning into this live. It's breaking news. We'll be all right. We'll keep moving forward. As long as the flywheel keeps rolling, we'll keep moving forward. Definitely. It's the Bet Online Salute Detroit podcast coming to you from you live. You guys know how it goes. Live free. Fight on.